Good morning. I hope I can give you some insight into industry services, how we operate, and how we see the near and the far future going forward. I believe that in the current business environment, agriculture specifically is becoming a very complex arena. And the challenge that we have from a Hortgro perspective is that we have to balance long-term strategic issues with shorter-term operational issues, even tactical approaches. And the unfortunate reality is that we are operating in a so-called failed state type of scenario, which means that we as industry body needs to take on more and more activities which normally would be within the public domain. Many of these aspects are within a national ambit, and we need to make sure that we link into our various government structures. We are fortunate that there are some pockets of excellence still, and those we need to mobilize and make sure that we address the right aspects. The philosophy or the principles that underpins industry services is one of a bottom-up approach, area and fruit type representation. The pome and the stone fruit industries, which currently is housed within Hortgro Pome and Hortgro Stone, opted not to create capacity for themselves, and they centralized this, pooled this capacity expertise within Hortgro, and Hortgro provides services for our pome and our stone fruit growers. Producer councils, representative of these areas, signs off on industry activities, functions. They control the budgets, they control the industry levies. With small portfolio-driven boards that execute and provide oversight for management to ensure that we deal with the right things as cost effectively as we can. So the proverbial bottom line is that you as growers are in control of levies, you are in control of the industry funds and the resources, and working on 4-year cycles. This have a self-regulating type of impact in practice. So all operational functions that deals with pome and stone fruit is then pooled within Hortgro, and where we share capacity or functions with other stakeholders, either in the deciduous fruit industry like table grapes or the canning fruit guys or raisins, and even with other fruit groups, those are pooled and housed within dedicated legal entities. They've got their own governance structures and obviously also their own operational capacity, and that's the way that we operate with functions such as Caldefco, Fruit Fly, TC, etc. All of this is in place to reduce the cost for our pome and stone fruit industries. We provide services formalized through service level agreements for these entities, and all of that reduce the cost for our pome and stone fruit growers. Our main focus, and this is a philosophy, an approach that started in 2005, is that we need to take control of our own destiny, but without being everything for everybody. We need to focus. We need to make sure that those things that we can make the biggest difference on and provide an enabling environment, and those are the things that we deal with. The Hortgro of today is substantially different from the deciduous fruit producers trust that was started after deregulation in 1997. It's also different from the Hortgro that took over those services in 2007. And I believe in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever the industry service structure will deal with will also be substantially different from what we have today. So the approach, the mindset is basically to continuously change, adapt as requirements change. And currently, we also consider a number of aspects from our Hortgro vision of the future that we are already packaging into our next 4-year cycle, which we will bring to the industry in the second half of this year for mandating going forward. So the reality of the environment that we operate in is that government capacity, ability, expertise is dwindling, and the capacity and the expertise is sitting with industry structures such as Hortgro. So going forward, we will continue to take charge of our own destiny, but we will focus, we will make sure that the best practice, latest technology and innovation is used so that we can make sure that we can stretch every cent as far as it can. Ultimately, we need to make sure that you, our growers, are informed and that we have a clear mandate for those functions and activities that we need to deal with. Some examples of taking charge of our future. Binne die navorsingsomgewing is daar uiteraard ons Hortgro Science programme, infrastruktuur, fasiliteite om hierdie navorsingsprogramme te ondersteun, akademiese personeel, navorsingspersoneel wat by die Universiteit van Stellenbosch gehuisves is, en dan natuurlik ook kommunikasie, goeie tegnologie oordrag, inligting na ons produsentebasis. By plantmateriaal het ons so 'n klompie jare terug geïdentifiseer 'n klompie leemtes rondom onafhanklike evaluasie, die plantverbeteringsskema, en daar's tans 'n groot fokus op plantverbetering. Ons weet van ons ProHort persele en dan die werk wat ProWar vir ons doen rondom dit. Also Caldefco, very limited breeding, but for plums and apricots, but more focus on procurement and informing our stakeholders on what is needed for the next 10, 15, 20 years going forward. And the recent example being tissue culture facility and a quarantine in vitro facility within TCF. Aan die markkant, aan die handelskant, verskeie intervensies en aspekte wat oor die jare geïnisieer is, binne Fruit SA, Vrugte Suid-Afrika, marktoegang, markbesoeke, deelname aan handelskoue, in land in country reps. Ons het ook die sogenaamde value chain roundtable waar ons verskeie aspekte rondom handel en marktoegang direk met die departement van landbou, buitelandse sake en ook handel en nywerheid hanteer. Ons Agbus beleidsplatform waar ons direkte toegang het tot Boesa en Netlek. Ons joint market forums waar vrugvloei inligting versprei word, besluitnemingsinligting en natuurlik ook die hele kwessie van logistiek en infrastruktuur wat 'n baie groot kopseer was vir al die laaste 2 jaar, maar daar ook is ons besig om te kyk en ek is seker ons sal binnekort goeie vordering kan aankondig rondom sogenaamde PPP's, Public-Private Partnerships vir ons hawe, Kaapse hawe spesifiek, en natuurlik ook ons vrugtevliegprogram in verskeie van ons streke om ons biorisiko's, marktoegangskwessies daar op 'n area-wye basis te bestuur. Another example is the market compliance issues, protocol standards, also food safety, MRLs, but also the ethical trade and environmental issues being dealt with through CISA, which covers water, biodiversity, sustainability, the carbon calculator, etc. En dan natuurlik op die transformasie, die ekonomiese bemagtigingsterrein, waar ons, ek glo, 'n baie goeie track record het, rondom 'n waardeketting benadering, Ons boompie projek wat ons begin het in 2007, die 2 Jobs Fund projekte wat ons sedertdien gehad het, en dan ook CASP en ander fondse wat ons namens die departement van landbou bestuur, en dan uiteraard ook ons jongste inisiatief rondom Hortfin, aanvanklik met Landbank, maar deesdae met FNB, waar ons 51% plus swart entiteite dan ook help met finansiering. En dan ten slotte rondom opleiding. Ons het onlangs 'n PPP met AgriSeta gesluit. Dit gaan vir ons aansienlike hulpstoot gee rondom beurse, rondom die opleidingsmateriaal, kursusmateriaal wat ontwikkel kan word, en dan ook internskappe waar ons ook direkte skakeling met ons produsente in 'n werkgewer hoedanigheid het. Hoe opereer ons? 4 jaar strategiese raamwerke, 4 jaar siklusse. Ons is nou amper aan die einde van ons 3de jaar van die huidige 4 jaar siklus. Ons het 11 programme waarvolgens ons opereer. En soos ek gesê het, ons is reeds besig met die volgende 4 jaar raamwerk van 2024 tot 2027, waar ons spesifiek die jongste eise en bedryfsbehoeftes gaan inbou, en ook gaan fokus op die Hortgro vision of the future. Ons bedryfsfunksies is eintlik verpak in 3 breë kategorieë. Eerstens aan die produksiekant, die sogenaamde aanbodkant, waar verskeie van hierdie tegniese produksiekwessies aandag kry, en dan aan die markkant of die vraagkant rondom markontwikkeling, marktoegang, protokolle, standaarde, en dan van hierdie logistieke uitdagings, inligting ensovoorts. And then what I term cross-cutting issues, specifically with regard to BEE, economic development, with a value chain approach, training issues, all in that domain, but also governance, administration, and financial services, making sure that we comply with legislation, but also with the demands and the directives of the NAMC and also the Auditor General. So those are the 3 industry-focused activities. And then there's the user pay services, Fruitfly, Caldefco, Fruit Journal, AgriHub, SAPU, Tisuculture, etc. All of these are housed, as I said, with a pome and stone context within Hortgro, and where we have alliances with other deciduous or fruit stakeholders. Those are packaged in different substructures, all with their own governance and operational capacity, but with most of them having services, financial administrative services from Hortgro, and then we also provide some services to what we call alternative crops. We've had some of them that already been phased out. They've sort of matured, and they're currently on their own. But all in all, we provide these services to 35 different legal entities or groups, focus groups, from a Hortgro pome and stone right through to a cultivar group like a Forel group or a Kanzi Green Star group and so on, and a number of trusts that we also provide these services for. All in all, on an annual basis, the statutory levies that we currently administer for pome, stone and Fruitfly is about 135 million rand, which we take very seriously as management and staff to make sure that that is utilized optimally. And then depending on the year, another 200 to 250 million rands worth of grants and other income, user pay functions that we deal with. So in essence, a 1 to 2 type gearing of statutory levies to other income within our broader industry structure. Some of these functions, activities, we've elevated to a Fruit South Africa level, where we are partners with citrus, subtrops, table grapes, berries have recently joined, and also the Fresh Produce Exporters Forum, and these mainly deal with government relations, market access, policy issues, logistics, and then also some of these cross-cutting matters. Recently also the agri-processing master plan, which we have influenced and provided input for via the Fruit South Africa channel. Decision-making processes, as I've indicated, grower-focused, grower-driven, grower-mandated. So we start with the grower and we end with the grower. And as you will see on this slide, the governance, the oversight through our producer councils, through our smaller portfolio-driven boards, portfolios with regard to staff and management, and then reporting again back to our growers. Going forward, I see 4 key challenges. Firstly, I believe the trade and market access domain needs to be challenged, and within the Agri Master Plan process, this has been elevated, I believe, to the right level, where we have an acronym called GROW, G-R-O, meaning gaining new, retaining existing, and optimizing markets. And the challenge really have shifted in recent years. Just retaining markets is becoming a real challenge, and that is something that we need to ensure a renewed focus on. Our biggest problem is slow progress, and we need to fast track that, and hopefully with the AAMP process we will achieve that. The second is production issues. Climate change, we see pests and diseases changing their patterns, their way that they manifest in different ways. Obviously water, yields, packouts, and then our R&D program focusing on production, crop protection, and post-harvest. The third key challenge remains transformation, BEE, with a focus on broad-based BEE. And being a long-term crop, it is a particular challenge, but we are making progress, and I believe we have got a good track record, and our challenge will be to multiply our successes and reduce or mitigate our failures on a value chain approach, but then not just on production level, also including some of these training aspects. We do have a little challenge in the issue of opportunism from some quarters, and those we need to challenge and put to bed, because that is not in the best interest of our broader industry. And then the fourth one, I believe, the agri industry and funding going forward. We just have too many entities, I call them mishope, en ons moet hierdie mishope 'n bietjie verminder en seker maak dat ons nie onnodig dupliseer nie, en dat ons koste-effektiewe dienste kan lewer. En natuurlik dan befondsing. Ons heffingsstruktuur vir sekere al van ons steenvrugte is aan die hoë kant, en ons het nie regtig baie ruimte om heffingsvlakke verder te verhoog nie, maar ons uitdaging is om meer met minder te doen, en dit gaan ons in die volgende 4 jaar definitief op fokus. So om op te som, ons moet nie, ons moet eenvoudig effektief die vraagkant uitsorteer, ons moet marktoegang versnel, dit gaan vir ons groei beteken. As ons daardie groei in 'n waardekettingbenadering kan koppel aan transformasie van ons bedryf, dan gaan daar 'n ruimte wees vir die privaat sektor om te belê. Dit gaan ons aanbod verhoog, met ander woorde ons produksie gaan verhoog, en dit gaan al hierdie kwessies rondom ons nasionale ontwikkelingsplan, rondom die agri-meesterplan gaan dit vir ons aanspreek, and that includes things like BEE, jobs, rural development, forex, etc. And in my view, that will materially change the nature not only of our sector, but also of South Africa at large. Personally, I believe we've got enough plans. We need to implement those and make sure that the different social partners do their little bit in making